Yo, what's up and welcome inside the opening line, part of the Elite Fantasy Sports Network. Friday, last day of the week, Corey and Benny. Thank you for rocking with us all week. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. This way you get the email. You get the a note right to your inbox when the video is posted, the opening line. Benny, what's going on with you, my man?
Not much. I am excited, man. This is one of the biggest gambling weekends of my life.
Yeah.
Every year with the when the Kentucky Derby rolls around. So we actually got some races going on today. The Kentucky Oaks, which is basically the Kentucky Derby for female horses, going on today. And then the Derby will be tomorrow. There's a whole bunch of good races, today and tomorrow from Churchill. The only problem, though, Corey, the weather's kind of crappy down there. If it's going to be raining, yeah, that could cause some problems. We'll talk about a little later on here.
All right, so cool. So that's exciting. We'll get into the Kentucky Derby. But Benny, I wanted to start bring our off-air conversation on here. I was telling you how it was some ladies Airbnb-ing it on the block from California, and I kind of ran into them last night, and they was like, "Yo, we got some Cali bud," you know what I mean? They was flirting, talking a little shit, whatever. So I was like, "Well, I'm here to try it," and over 12 hours later, the effects still seem to be showing. You know what I mean? But they do have some. I feel like they have better stuff out there.
Oh, it's not even close, man. Like I went out to the Emerald Cup earlier this year, which is basically like a harvest festival for the marijuana harvest up in the Emerald Triangle. Yeah. So I don't know if any of you have Netflix. There's a good show. It's called Murder Mountain, and it basically talks about the Emerald Triangle, which is where all the hippies went. When all the hippies went out west, like basically if you smoke weed anywhere in this country, your weed probably came from the Emerald Triangle. Like that's been the place that it's all been grown illegally for the last 20-something years. Now they're starting to give all those people licenses to cultivate and grow, legal medical marijuana and all that stuff. But the weed that they have in Cali is so much better. I don't care where else you're from in this world. Maybe a little bit in Florida, there's some good stuff. Colorado's starting to get some good stuff right now. But there is not. I've been to Amsterdam. I've been everywhere you can go to smoke weed, basically. And there's no weed better than California weed. I
tell you, I have one experience. Outside of last night, I got one experience, man. I don't know how these gals got it over on the plane. We'll get into that also today. You know what I'm saying? How fitting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's always dangerous carrying marijuana on an airplane. That's a federal offense.
Well, I was going to say there was something in the news yesterday about a Brooklyn net who had a little bit of a run-in with that as well. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I know. I did see that. That's why I said we'll be getting into this later too. So we went. I was at the All-Star game. I want to say it was the 2002 All-Star game. My son was born in 2001, so yeah, probably 2002. Either 2002 or 2003. I'm pretty sure it was 2002. The one where Tracy McGrady threw the alley-oop to himself off the backboard.
Okay.
Kobe was the MVP in Philadelphia and ended up getting booed after the game by the Philadelphia fans because people in Philadelphia never really looked at Kobe as a Philly guy because he's from the suburbs of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Never really got, you know what I'm saying? Well, it was me. It was me, some of the homies, you know what I'm saying? Some of my very good friends. So we went out there it was a wild weekend altogether. Philadelphia, right down the turnpike. A couple of the homies that I grew up with up in the city, up in Harlem, and a couple of the cats I went to college with, whatever. We met up out in Philadelphia that weekend. So none of us had any aspirations of actually going to the game or attending the game. You know what I'm saying? So how we got to the game was just really basically a stroke of luck. So a buddy of mine, he is first cousins, amazingly, with Warren G, which means he's like second cousins with Dr. Dre, which is the wildest thing ever.
Okay.
Yeah, just a random dude working up here in New York is like related to like West Coast rap celebrities.
Okay.
So he was like, yo, Warren G is out here. He's not going to the All-Star game. He has 2 tickets, right? So at the time, it was 4 of us. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So my boy was like, well, I'll buy tickets. So he bought tickets for him and he he bought tickets for him and the person that he was with, right?
Okay.
So just happened to find out that they paid $500 a pop for the tickets. This is like an 02. Mm-hmm. And both of them were illegal counterfeit tickets. So they couldn't even get into the All-Star game. It was a disaster. They had to go back and watch the game from the room.
Right.
My homie, we got our tickets from Warren G. So we was good to go. But we went to the hotel room to get the tickets off of Warren G. Warren G, we come in the room. Listen, Benny, it was the most surreal scene. We come in the room. Warren G is laying in the bed with 2 girls. Right?
I mean, that's not that surreal. I would expect that to be happening. I mean, I'm not surprised yet.
So it caught me off guard or whatever. So I'm like, all right, well, Warren G living his best life. All right, I'm cool with that. So
he's a regulator, bro. I mean, you can't mess with that.
The best song in the history of hip hop. I guess it don't make a difference how relevant your career gets. You still this DJ be Warren G. Regulators mount up. So obviously we sitting there. So Warren G is like, yo, y'all smoke? We all was like, yeah. So Warren G, of course, he got the Cali Bud with him.
Oh, yeah.
So he rolled one up. Benny, it must have went around 3 times. And I'm like, yo, I ain't never been high like this before. You know what I'm saying? Benny, by the time we finished that joint, I never forget it. My man Boogie was like, yo, son, I cannot feel my face. I was like, yo, Boogs, I'm faded too. We must have smoked that joint around noon. When we got to the game that night, we was still high. Yeah. When we left the game, Benny, we was still high off that one joint that went around on like 7 people earlier that morning, Benny. That's how crazy that chronic Warren G had was.
That's what I'm saying, man. People don't realize, like, for years and years, everybody on the East Coast has basically been getting all their weed from California. And since it's not legal, but it was never really illegal. You know, like I said, if you've never seen Murder Mountain on Netflix, it gives a good description. Like, you're talking like backwoods California, not like Los Angeles or San Francisco, big city. Like the Emerald Triangle is like
Phil Jackson, California.
Yeah, exactly. Like Bill Walton, California.
Yeah.
Like, these are Bill Walton's peoples up here. Like, you know, these guys just live literally in the middle of the forest, driving around on like 4-wheelers. Like, the cops don't even bother going up there because they're like, you know, why are we even gonna go mess with these guys? Got like they got their own guns, they got their own armies up there, like, you know, protecting this stuff. Like, I mean, it's like Narcos Mexico basically, in you know, Northern California up here. So I mean, again, I've been out to Cali a whole bunch of times. I go out there. People ask me all the time. They're like, oh, yeah, why do you go to Cali all the time? I'm like, because they got really good weed out there. It's always a good time, man. They got really good weed. They got a really good music scene. So you go out there, you know, you get high, you listen to music. I mean, that's what we basically do anyway when we're around here. We got time off and, you know, the kids are in bed and you got some time to chill to yourself. So I love California.
I've never been to Los Angeles. I've been to the Bay Area. Really just San Francisco. Never had a chance. I didn't even get a chance to make it over to Oakland. But I do want to take another trip to California sometime soon. Soon as we piece things together and figure it all out. Let's get into some of the stuff. We've got some Kentucky Derby talk coming up. I want to start with I got a question for you, Benny.
Good.
Was Joel Embiid as good last night as Kyle Lowry was bad?
You know what? That's a really good question. I mean, Kyle Lowry has had a very bad series in general. You know, he just really hasn't. And I hate to say this because, you know, being a little guy and being a point guard, I understand his struggle out there. The small point guards in the NBA, to me, break down as fast as some of the big guys like Joel Embiid do. Because when you're a Kyle Lowry, even like half a step slower is a big difference between peak Kyle Lowry and the Kyle Lowry we're seeing right now. You know what I'm saying? Because when he's at his best, when he's, you know, a couple years ago when he was probably, you know, peak Kyle Lowry before all these injuries started creeping up on him and he started slowing him down even just a little bit, he could get to the hole anytime he wanted on anybody. It didn't make a difference. He had that kind of speed. Once you start losing that speed, you don't have anything to fall back on. He's not a great jump shooter, so he can't fall back on just being a spot-up jump shooter like a guy like J.J. Redick can. He doesn't have the size like a Joel Embiid or some of these other big guys that, you know, at least he could fall back on his inside game and all that stuff. You know, Kyle Lowry's game was predicated on Kyle Lowry being faster than everybody else on the floor. That was his advantage. That's how he kept himself out of trouble. That's how he put himself in good spots on the floor. That's how he was able to produce. So now that he's even, like I said, even just a little bit of taking that speed away from him, he becomes a very average kind of player. And the thing that's really bad is not only is he a kind of an average player, but he also becomes a liability on the defensive end. Because if you saw last night, anytime he got switched up on a Tobias Harris or a Ben Simmons or even a Jimmy Butler, they were going right down in the post and saying, mouse in the house, give me the ball down there.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Like in today's NBA, you really need a team where you have a whole bunch of guys that can guard multiple positions. Because with all the pick and roll and everything else going on, teams are basically looking for mismatches, right? Like that's what you're kind of doing. You're trying to get
– you're staying in foul trouble.
Yeah, every game. And that's the problem. It's like, when you're playing the Warriors, do you want to attack Andre Iguodala? I mean, Klay Thompson is a very good defensive player too. Kevin Durant, for all the offensive accolades Kevin Durant gets, he's an amazing defensive player too, and he doesn't get credit.
Durant's the best two-way player in the game.
I mean, I still love Kawhi. I still love Kawhi defensively a little more than Kevin Durant. Okay. But I mean, yeah, they're in the same breath. They're in the same argument. You know what I mean? And that's my thing. Is like with a guy like Kyle Lowry now, as he starts falling off with these little point guards, when they start falling off, it's not a gradual decline where they're getting a little bit worse, a little bit worse, a little bit worse. You're either able to do it or you're not. And when you're not, and you don't have those things to fall back on, a jump shot or some other things that you can do, you really see it. And
he has to reinvent his game. He has to become more of a savvy player and more of a leader on the court. Basically, when Peyton Manning had noodle arm at the end of his career, they were able to still win because Peyton Manning was smart enough to understand where the pass should go, that he could make the throw. Yes. He was smart enough to understand formations, to get the running back in the right position, to be able to maximize yardage and stuff like that. And that's the kind of play that Kyle Lowry is going to have to become. It's got to be pretty embarrassing, you going back to Philadelphia and you Allen Iverson and Meek Mill and all the Philly celebrities are there, Deshaun Jackson, and you a Philly guy and you put up a stinker. Man, Kyle Lowry, I feel bad for son this morning. That's like me going to Rucker Park and them laughing me off the court. You know what I'm saying? Which they probably would anyway, but still.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be in that situation. And, like I said, it kind of sucks. But, when you look around at this Toronto team now, I mean, I think this Toronto team is in trouble in the series. I really do. Because, I mean, where else are you expecting? You have Kawhi Leonard, right? And Kawhi Leonard's a stud. Kawhi Leonard's been playing like a stud this whole series. Put up another big game last night. Had him as my captain on my showdown teams yesterday. So he put up a big number. It would have been better to have Embiid, but whatever. I mean, it's not like Kawhi Leonard didn't put up a big game.
Yeah.
And then you have Pascal Siakam, who has really stepped forward and blossomed into a really good player on that team. But you're not really getting anything from anybody else, right? Like Danny Green, you don't expect much from. He plays defense. He'll knock down some shots. Danny Green does what Danny Green does. He's got a specific skill set. Lowry's not giving you much. Ibaka's not giving you much. Marc Gasol's not giving you much. You're not going to win this series if you don't get somebody else to step up and start scoring too. You can't have Kawhi putting up 35-40 and Siakam putting up 25-30 and the rest of the team combining for 25-30 points. Like, there needs to be a third guy. The same argument we made with the Milwaukee Bucks, right? It's like, yeah, Middleton can score, Giannis can score, but who else is going to score? Like, you can't get into the playoffs and only have two players and expect that to work. And that's one of the things that's kind of working in the other direction for the Philadelphia 76ers right now. I mean, they won two games where basically Joel Embiid didn't even play.
Yeah.
They won, or I should say they won one of those two games, but the first two games they basically played without Joel Embiid, and they got a split in Toronto. Last night, as we said, they're not going to win the series unless Joel Embiid plays like Joel Embiid. Well, last night Joel Embiid played like Joel Embiid, and they blew them out. Because when Joel Embiid is putting that stuff up, now you have to concentrate so much on him. I mean, there were plays yesterday, Corey, where like Embiid would get the ball trailing at the top of the key and take two dribbles towards the middle of the lane because Gasol was giving him a little bit of room, and two or three guys would collapse on him. Well, at that point, if two or three guys are collapsing on him, he's got options to pick out who's open to hit shots. And the shots that these guys were hitting, they weren't hitting the 76ers shot incredibly well yesterday, but they weren't hitting hard shots. They were hitting wide open shots because guys were driving, drawing two people to them, and then setting up, the Jimmy Butlers on the outside or even the JJ Redicks on the outside to start knocking down shots. And then the other thing is they gave Embiid so much space because they didn't want him in the lane. I think Embiid knocked down 3 or 4 threes last night as well. So
Jimmy Butler, you can hear Jimmy Butler telling you take that shot every time.
When they're clicking like that, when everybody's doing their job, this 76ers team is very, very good, and that's what we saw last night.
You see the talent. Toronto's going to have to do a better job defensively. I still think they come out and win Game 4. Then you have a critical Game 5 and Game 6. Could be a 7-game set right here, but the critical one right now is obviously going to be Game 4 for the Toronto Raptors as they try to crawl back into this series. If they are eliminated in the second round, Benny, is Kawhi Leonard gone?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know why Kawhi Leonard would want to be in Toronto anyway. I mean, it wasn't like he chose to go there as a free agent. Like, that was the only place he could get traded. So if he's going to be a free agent, I think Kawhi's going to kind of test the waters and see, all right, who's got money to pay me and where can I go where I can, I can win. Because, again, if you have a declining Kyle Lowry, you have Marc Gasol, who's kind of on his last legs. What are you really – who are you really playing with if you stay in Toronto? Right?
With Leonard and Siakam are not going to win you a championship.
I mean, they could be two of the pieces, but you're going to need more.
Yep.
So it's like if you're going to – again, I don't think Kyle Lowry's contract's up, so he's still going to be around there. Marc Gasol's contract, I think, is up, whether they bring him back or not.
Lowry.
What happened?
They can't get rid of him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And so, I mean, you're kind of hamstrung there with that's your supporting cast. So I think Kawhi Leonard, at the very least, is going to listen to what other people are talking. There's a couple teams that have money available. There's a couple places where, I'm sure they could free some money up if they knew a guy like Kawhi was going to be coming there. Trade a couple pieces, cut a couple guys, do what you got to do. I think Kawhi ends up somewhere other than Toronto next year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. But listen, Toronto knew what they were doing. Basically, the Oklahoma City route when they were to lock up Paul George. I don't know. These are places where people you don't feel like it's going to be good when you get there. But I know Oklahoma City has won some players over in the past. Kevin Durant talks about how much he enjoyed his time in Oklahoma City and what a great place it was to live. And obviously, guys go up to Toronto and absolutely fall in love with the Six.
Right.
So Kawhi's a different type of character. It's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. As far as free agent situation in the NBA, I don't think what happened with D'Angelo Russell yesterday is going to hurt him. I do think he's going to re-sign with the Nets anyway, and I think the Nets are going to make him a very attractive offer to be there. But when I first heard the story, Benny, I was like, oh, well, teams fly on charter flights, so they really don't have to go through scrutiny and security and stuff like that. So he probably grabbed one of the same bags that he rocked with when he's traveling and stuff like that, and he probably had like some weed left over in that bag. But come to find out, he had an Arizona can with a contraptment in it. That's when I was like, oh, wow, son, you really were trying to smoke. Where was he going? D'Angelo, wherever you was going, son, it was going to be weed there.
See, here's my thing, and you know this to be true, Corey. You can give me a $20 bill and drop me anywhere in the United States, and I'll find a bag somewhere. You know what I'm saying? It's not that hard. And I'm not a celebrity. I'm not famous. I don't got people that'll go run and do it for me. But I know wherever I go, I know I can find it somewhere, right? So wherever the hell he was going, when you land there, one of your boys is going to pick you up, or you're going to see somebody that you're going there to begin with, or even just, bro, go to your local college and just be like, yo, I'm D'Angelo Russell. Somebody there's going to got to connect where you could go get a bag of weed. So I don't really think you need to do this. But here's the funny part about it is, I don't know if you saw this, but the New York is basically decided that, the weed is not illegal, but it's not legal, but it's not really illegal, where, basically all you get now is a fine. So he's going to end up with like $100 fine, and they take his bag of weed. So it's not like a huge deal.
Yeah.
The bigger deal for him is going to be, I can almost guarantee you that somebody from the league office is going to be calling him in the next week to piss in a cup. And that's where he could wind up getting himself in trouble.
The NBA is the most progressive when it comes to the marijuana suspensions. In order to get suspended in the NBA for using marijuana, you have to fail 3 tests.
Yeah. I got to be perfectly honest with you. The more people start understanding what marijuana can do for you, especially as like a high level athlete, for muscle pains and for, coming back in recovery from all that. I don't understand. I mean, I think it's in the UFC. I think you're actually allowed to smoke. It's not even one of the things they test for because they know that a lot of these guys do it, for recovery. And that's really what it can help you out with. And anybody who has aches and pains, I mean, It's just one of those things. So you're going to see it's going to happen probably in the next 5 to 10 years where it's going to get taken off the list of substances that these guys are using, because it's not like steroids. It's not really like it's not giving you any major advantage. It's just something that helps you, recover from the beating that your body takes as a professional athlete. So I'd much rather guys smoke weed than pop a whole bunch of Percocets. I'll say that right now.
Correct. I agree with you 100% on that one. Right there. As we get away in this country from privatized prisons, I think you'll start to see lax on the marijuana laws all across the United States, because really, the private prisons are filled with marijuana offenders. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I saw a story yesterday where a judge in New York was going to give a kid 60 days for jumping the turnstile.
Damn, really?
Yeah, 60 days for jumping the turnstile. And he pleaded not guilty. And the judge was like, all right, well, your bail is set at. And he was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, part of the criminal justice system is supposed to be a deterrent. People get major sentences to stop other people from doing it, which kind of sucks, but that's kind of the way that our system kind of works. But that's ridiculous. I mean, 60 days for jumping a turnstile, it's $3.
It's $3.
Like, first off, young buck, just pay the $3, all right? Like, I know it sucks, and it's $3, and when you're a kid, when I was in college, I was broke. I understand you don't have a lot of money, but dude, lawyer costs are very expensive. Court costs are very expensive. And spending 60 days in fucking jail is very expensive. Like, you do not want to be doing that. So, it's worth it for the $3 right there.
100% agree with you. You know what I'm saying? I had a fair situation one time. It really was an accident. You know how you be running down the stairs to get the train? And I had $22 on me. A $20 bill and 2 singles, and I had my card. But the train was coming. So the dude that was selling in swipes, right? So he was like, I sell you a swipe for $2. So I gave him the $2 as the train was pulling up. He swiped me. The door's open. It's 2 cops get off. And they're like, did you just buy a swipe from him? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay, go stand over here. So I'm like, all right, it's no big deal, whatever. I didn't think nothing of it. So dude was like, in Manhattan, that's illegal. I'm like, are you serious?
I didn't know that.
And nowhere else in New York City is that illegal, but in Manhattan it's illegal, because in Manhattan they say that the crime is aiding and abetting a panhandler. So I'm like,
abetting a panhandler?
Crazy, Benny. It was wild.
I never even heard of that.
So I was like, okay, my bad. Like, you give me a summons or whatever. Well, the dude was like, I don't do a little bit more than give you a summons. I don't run you in. And I was like, you got to be shitting me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to run you in, make sure everything is all right. And I'm like, oh, my God. So they take me back to the joint, right? This is on 59th Street. They take me to the in the precinct on 59th Street.
Uh-huh.
They sent me in that joint. So I'm sitting in that joint. But you talking about, you got dudes in there for, like, fare evasion, stupid stuff. And they got them, and they take them to the back room like, yo, give me some information. And I'm like, I'm in here. I'm
like, dude, I'm trying to get to work right now, like.
For a summons, you want me to rat on somebody for a summons? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know plenty of stuff, but I'm not telling you that. Well, what ended up happening was they screwed around and screwed around and screwed around. By the time the paperwork got up to Albany, everybody in Albany had left. So they was like, well, being that they're not there, we can't verify that you don't have no, priors. And I'm like, you can just run my ID right here in the database. They was like, nah, we got to send it up to Albany. And they was like, you're going to have to stay. And I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me, son.
For a fare? Jeez.
For a fair summons, Benny. I had to stay, son, for a fair summons.
Oh,
the next morning, Benny, the next morning I go in there, whatever, and I'm telling the lady, I'm like, I done missed work today, you know what I'm saying, whatever. She like, yo, you got a good job and all of this, you know what I'm saying? And she was like, you shouldn't be here. And I'm like, I know.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I know, lady. You know what I'm saying? But they was like, no, it was an over-aggressive rookie police officer, and that's why that took place. But no, that's a pain in the butt. But D'Angelo Russell, listen, I wasn't the biggest fan of the kid, but he had a tremendous season this year. Young swagaholic, you know what I mean? I think he'll be just fine. And I think he's found the perfect home in Brooklyn, and this won't hurt him at all.
Yeah, I don't think this is a problem. I like him. I hope he does stick around. He's a good young player. You know, like you say, made his first All-Star game this year, step forward. A lot of good things going on for D'Angelo Russell. So, you know, hopefully this is no big deal. And again, like I said, just remember, bro, you're gonna be getting a phone call this week from the league office, and you're gonna have to go piss in the cup. So
that one's going to be dirty. Make sure the next one is clean.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just wait a little bit. You might have to step back from the from the weed game for a little while.
Did you see? I'm going through some information, Benny. I saw something I didn't like. You know what I'm saying? I saw where Facebook has banned like 3 people for dangerous speech. Alex Jones, that nut from InfoWars,
right?
That kid Milo Yana, whatever that cat.
Oh, the British guy that the MAGA people love. Yeah, make America great again by spending money on some British guy talking. Go ahead.
The Milo cat. They've shut down campuses and stuff like that when he come to
right.
tech. And Louis Farrakhan, who has said anti-Semitic stuff and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Yo, Benny, when I saw that, I was like, yo, I don't care what you're talking about. As long as you're not physically threatening somebody with violence, you should be allowed to say whatever the fuck you want to say.
Well, you know what? This is actually a really big thing that's kind of going on right now, because we do have freedom of speech in this country where you can say whatever you want. But freedom of speech allows you to say whatever you want on your own platform. On somebody else's platform, like Facebook or Twitter or, Instagram or whatever, you have to kind of follow whatever their guidelines are, whatever their rules are. So people are getting all up in arms about it, that all these people are getting banned or shadow banned or whatever the hell they want to call it. But all these people have done something that's in violation of these terms. Now, they're not saying that Alex Jones can't do InfoWars. If Alex Jones wants to do his InfoWars website, he's allowed to do his InfoWars website. You just can't use Twitter to, basically pretend that a whole bunch of kids didn't get killed in a shooting in Connecticut. You can't use Facebook to throw fake conspiracy theories out about, gun makers being good people and all these parents being part of some deep state conspiracy, and that their 3- and 4-year-old and 5-year-old kids who were shot in a preschool didn't really die. Like, I got to be honest, I got kids right now. If my kids were one of those kids in that Sandy Hook shooting and this guy was talking that, I'd beat the ever living piss out of him, and make sure that he knew, there's certain lines that you don't cross. Now, I understand. Listen, this is a lot of these jock people. This is what they do. Like, they want to get a rise out of people. They do this stuff because, saying stupid shit gets a lot of clicks sometimes, and getting a lot of clicks means that you're more popular and more people know your name.
We've seen Candace Owens become a major celebrity as just being a self-hating conspiracy theorist.
Yeah,
celebrity now, legit celebrity now.
Like, listen, this is the way that the world has become right now. It's like, it's not about truth and doing the right thing. It's about money, right? Like, if you can get clicks, you can make money. If you can make money, more power to you, because that's the only thing that matters anymore. So I don't have a problem with these sites banning these people. What these people need to understand is, you have the right. Like, InfoWars is a web page. You have the right to run whatever you want on your page. But if you're going to use somebody else's platform to try to promote yourself and promote your page, you got to follow certain guidelines. Like, we can't go out. You and I can't sit here right now and, have orgies going on in the background and all this crazy stuff and expect YouTube to put those videos, on YouTube. So if we want to use YouTube to build our brand and promote our platform and all that stuff,
you have to adhere by their rules.
We have to follow certain rules. And if you don't, it doesn't happen.
Now, listen, if we was to do that, I don't think Tommy G and Jeff Mans would say anything about it, though.
But that's what I'm saying is, there's, we could do YouTube videos from Tommy's house while we're partying and watching TV and, watching the games and betting on them and all that stuff. And people will be like, my God, these guys are freaking crazy. But you know what? We'd get shut down. Like, we wouldn't, the YouTube channel would get shut down if we did stuff like that, because, you'd have us all sitting there partying, drinking, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. That's against the terms of YouTube. So, like I said, you could do whatever you want on your own. Like, if we wanted to do something like that on the elite betting platform, on the, elitebetting.com or elitefantasy.com, we could do whatever we want, because that's our platform. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I think these guys need to understand. Like, Alex Jones can say whatever crazy shit he wants on Infowars.com or .net or whatever it is. But when you put those videos on a Facebook, on a YouTube, on an Instagram, on stuff like that, you got to kind of tone down the stuff that
Here's
you're
the
doing
thing.
there.
This is the flip side of that. This is where I think it's a little bit of a gray area. Because if you're taking that stance, then at this point you're not just like a. Then when you take that stance as Facebook, then you're becoming a publisher, and you're telling people what they can and can't put on there. So now, if you're becoming a publisher, then that's a different story. Then why aren't you paying people?
All right. Well, let me ask you this though. Here's the thing. You know, who's going up on Congress and sitting in front of Congress because of all this stuff that's on their websites? Who's getting blamed for, you know, like I forget what was it? Netflix has some show about like teenage suicide right now. And apparently the teenage suicide rate is up at the moment. And like Netflix is getting blamed for it. And there are people who want them to go in front of Congress and kind of talk about this show that they put out there and how it's related to that stuff. So, you know, Netflix, I don't know if it's an original series or not. They may not even have been the ones that made it, but, you know, because it's on their platform, they're the ones that are getting in trouble. Yeah. I mean, are people bitching at Alex Jones or some of these other, you know, what is it, like The Guardian or The Hill or all these little, like, pop-up newspapers for all the fake news? Or are they bitching at Facebook because of the fake news that these people are writing and putting on their platform? So if you're the guy who's in charge of the platform, you have to have some rules. It can't be the Wild West. Like I can't go out there and start, you know, posting pictures of, you know, I don't know, some naked girlfriend I had from 10 or 15 years ago without any repercussions. You know, some people can't go out there and just start blatantly lying about a product that they're selling. Like, you know, take this pill and you'll be 15 years younger. Like, and I'm going to put that on the Facebook. Oh, well, it was on Facebook. It must be true. You know what I'm saying? Like, there needs to be some kind of guidelines there. That's why they have the guidelines in the first place. So my whole thing with the guidelines is if you're going to have guidelines and you're going to enforce them, you have to enforce them for everybody with no exceptions.
Yep, it has to be unilateral. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, once you start making one exception for, well, we're going to allow this guy to do it, but we're not going to allow these people to do it because if we you know, if we're going to allow Alex Jones, because if we take him off, you know, all the conservative white people in Midwest America are going to complain about it if we take him off. So we got to keep him on. But like you said, but we're going to take Farrakhan off. Like once you start picking and choosing people that you're going to allow that violated guidelines, that's where you get yourself a problem. So if you're going to have a guideline, have the guideline. Anything that crosses it, you know, you have to take action. So you have to go one way or the other. It's all about enforcement, really, Corey.
Facebook is almost becoming a negative thing for this country. I try to stay off of Facebook. Facebook's a wild place, yo. It really is. And Facebook is almost like a branch of government. They have all your information, everything.
Oh, they have more. They have more information than the government goes to Facebook to get your information. The parties are going to Facebook to get your information so that they can kind of market you to kind of sell you all that. And it's not just this country, though. I mean, Facebook is being used this way all over the world. I mean, there are other foreign countries that are using Facebook right now, and certain political parties in those other countries that are using it to, you know, basically start wars. And a lot of the stuff going on in Venezuela right now is all being done over Facebook because, you know, again, we take it for granted. Like in this country, you and I can sit here and talk shit all day long about anything we want to talk shit about. If you and I are in Venezuela and we were talking shit about the government, there's a good chance you or I might be dead right now. And that's like, that's a real talk.
Tell me about this joint, Penny. You just go see the black wall. Oh, man. Let me give you a quick rundown of what's going on over at the Elite Fantasy Sports Network. Elite Fantasy is the DFS hub where you go subscribe to get all your DFS plays and information, optimizes, all the good stuff that goes on with these big winners that's coming out, the EliteFantasy.com. GuruElite.com is the betting site, soon to be called Elite Betting. You want to lay it down and play some wagers. You can get some of the top picks from some of the top experts each and every single night, no matter what the sport is. We're getting ready to hop into some Kentucky Derby stuff with Benny. And then, of course, it is FantasyGuru.com. That is your season-long fantasy site for fantasy football, fantasy baseball. That's where you subscribe right there. Those are the 3 ways you can get down and become a part of the network. Benny, explain to me exactly. You don't have to tell me the horses because that's going to be a part of what you write up in the betting package. But you need to explain to me, as a guy that's coming into the book tomorrow, I don't know what, $100 is good to bet on the horses? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways you can do it. So let me take it this way.
Because I'm not trying to lose $100. I got $100 to lose. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Bet on these ponies because I still got to bet the NBA and all of that stuff too. So I don't know nothing about the horses. You are the man with the horses. What time do I need to be up? What time do I need to be on the 160? Like, what do I need to do to come back here tomorrow night with some plus money?
All right, so here's the deal. If you're betting on the Derby post time is late in the day. It's like, I don't know, sometime between like 6 and 7 o'clock. So you got plenty. You can sleep all damn day and then get on the bus at 2 or 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and still make it over here in plenty of time to make a bet on the Derby. All right, so you don't have to worry about that part. Basically, here's what I tell people. It's like, what is your goal, right? Like with that $100, are you trying to make a life-changing score, or are you trying to make sure you come home with a little bit of money in your pocket?
I'm trying to clean up for a weekend. You know what I'm saying? I need some lunch money for next week.
All right, so basically what I would say to you is then you're looking to do something that's not that crazy or not off the board. So if I have $100 and I'm, trying to make a decent amount of money in this race, I think the horse that is probably the favorite, whether or not he wins, is a horse called Game Winner.
Okay.
And he's one that I have a lot of faith in. Now, what I'm going to say is Game Winner is the kind of horse that if he doesn't win the race, there's a good chance he's going to come in first, second, or third. So they call that being in the money. Okay. If he doesn't win the race, there's a good chance he's going to be coming to money. He's ran in 6 races in his career. The first 4 races he ran in, he won all of them by, pretty convincing and decent margins. The 2 races he ran this year, he lost by a head, which basically means him and the other horse were like neck and neck to the end.
Yeah.
So, even when you lose by a head, like a horse player, we consider that a winning race, right? Because you just ran into another really good horse. It's like if Kevin Durant and LeBron James played one-on-one, one of them has to lose and one of them has to win.
Yeah.
But you're not going to walk away and say, well, that guy sucks because he lost 20-21 to, whoever wound up winning the game. That's the kind of way it is with this horse, Game Winner. And the thing is, when he lost that race by a neck, he lost it to a horse that was Omaha Beach, who was the morning line favorite that we talked about the other day that got scratched.
Mm-hmm.
So really, the only horse. Well, there's another horse that beat him in the next race by like half a length, which is basically like the same thing as losing by like a neck or a head. It's still a winning race that he ran. He just lost by like that much. So when you look at this horse's race, he either won or ran a winning race in all 6 of the races that he's been in. So maybe he doesn't win this race, but he's going to be one of the horses that's up there at the end. So whatever bet I would do if I'm only playing $100 is going to include Game Winner.
Okay.
But what I think I would do if I was in your spot is I would build a bunch of trifectas using Game Winner as one of those 3 horses. So there are about 9 horses in this race that I think have a legit shot to win. Tacitus is one who I like a lot. He was the winner of the Wood Memorial over in New York. You look at a horse like Maximum Security, who is a very boomer bust kind of horse, but, he does have a lot of talent. Vekoma, who's to the inside of him, and Probable, who's another one of the Bob Baffert horses. Those are all horses that are going to be like short odds, meaning like 10-1 or less, right?
Yeah.
So Game Winner is going to be short odds. Those horses are going to be short odds. So what I would do with a trifecta, you can box it, and you can pick 3 horses. So Game Winner would be one of the horses that I have in all $100 worth. Yeah, every ticket, $100 worth of trifectas. Game Winner would be on every one for me. And then I would mix and match some of those horses that we talked about with – so let me explain it this way, Corey. For people who've never watched a horse race, right? Like a horse is not going to be able to run at his full top speed for the entire 1.25 miles of this race. There's going to be some horses who are going to, for all intents and purposes, kind of blow their load early and try to run as fast as they can out of the gate and get as big a lead as they can and then hope that they hold on until the finish line. There's going to be other horses that are like, I don't want to run early. I know my horse, jockey's going to be like, I know my horse can run at a high top speed, but only for about a half a mile. So I'm going to lay towards the back of the pack and let everybody else kind of fight for the lead. And then in the middle of the race, I'm just going to put my head down and I'm going to run him as hard as I can for the last, half mile, quarter mile, 3/4 of a mile, and hope that, as those other horses are tiring and slowing down, my horse is going to be accelerating to the end and I win that way. So those are the horses that I want to throw in at the bottom of any one of these trifectas, because those are the horses that are going to be running late. So there's going to be horses in the lead that are kind of fighting with each other, and then there's going to be horses that are coming up late to try to pick up the pieces is what we call it. So the horses that can pick up the pieces, the one I like the best is a horse called Win Win Win.
Okay.
He's got really good turn of foot, meaning he's got like a really good high accelerated speed when he gets going. But if you're watching the race, don't rip up your tickets after the first 30 seconds of the race because she's going to be like, win is 18th out of 20 horses. And you're going to be like, yo, Benny's an asshole. Why the hell did he tell me to bet on this horse? But then by the middle of the race, you're going to see this horse coming from the back, full speed, 100 mile an hour like he was shot out of a cannon. And you're going to see all these other horses running, and he's just going to be passing all of them by. Now, the question is, does he have enough speed, and is he going to be close enough that when he does start that run, is he going to be able to get to the finish line before the other horses that are in the front? I don't know that, but a lot of times in the Kentucky Derby, when you have horses that run that way, they tend to get up for second or third place. So you want to include horses like that into your trifectas. Win is probably my favorite, but two other horses that run that same style are Code of Honor and Roadster. So those are horses that I'm definitely going to be using in my trifectas as well. I don't think they can beat, like a Game Winner or a Tacitus, who are two of the horses that I like a lot more, even Improbable. But these are the horses that could sneak up into second or third in the trifecta. And these are horses that are going to be 12, 15, 20, 30 to 1, where if they do sneak into there for you, it's going to go make it a,
So your trifecta box,
yes,
the odds depends on which horses are in the trifecta.
So the way horse racing works is it's called it's a pari-mutual betting pool, right? So it's, let's say, for example, there's and there's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars, but let's say there's $100 bet on a race, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, the 2 horse has $50 bet on them. The 3 horse has $25 bet on them. And the 4 horse has the other $25 bet on them, right? So what they basically do is they take the $100 that was bet on all horses in that race. The track takes their cut, which is, depending on the track and depending on the type of wager, anywhere between like 10 and 20%. Like, that's their rake, right? So they make their money no matter what. And then they'll pay out the other, $80, $90 that's in the pool. So if the horse that had $50 bet on him wins and the pool is $90, they'll take, basically 90 divided by 50, and your payout is 9 to 5. If there was $80 in the pool and there was $20 bet on the horse, 80 divided by 20 is 4 to 1. So anybody who had money on that horse is going to get paid out 4 to 1. The favorites always wind up being overbet in trifectas. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of trifectas that have like 2 or 3 of these horses that are like 4 to 1 or 5 to 1. So you can't completely ignore them, because the horses that are 4 to 1 and 5 to 1 really are the best horses. That's why they're 4 to 1 and 5 to 1. But what you want to try to do is get 1 or 2 of them with 1 or 2 of these 25 to 30 to 1 shots. Because when you have a pool that's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars and you have 20 different horses that you can bet on, every combination of all these horses is going to be owned by somebody.
Yeah.
But there's going to be some of these combinations that are owned, on thousands and thousands of tickets. And some of these combinations with these 15 to 20 to 1 shots mixed in that are only going to be owned on, maybe 100 tickets or maybe 50 tickets. So your payout, if that comes in, is going to be like we talked about the other day. You could win $50, $60, $70,000 on a $2 bet, but you're not going to win $50, $60, $70,000 on a $2 bet if you take the 5 horses that are favorites and you just box them all together. Yeah. That's going to pay like $150.
So basically, I am doing different. So I'm doing like 4 or 5 different trifecta boxes.
You will do trifecta boxes. Hold on one second. Let me see, because I got the racing form here. I just want to see what number Game Winner is before I say this. All right, so Game Winner is the number 15, right?
Yeah.
So if you have never bet on a horse race before, you're going to go up to the betting window, and you're going to be like, I want a trifecta box with the 15 horse, and then you pick 2 other horses to go with them.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to wind up doing is I'm going to have 10 or 12 different trifecta boxes, but they're all going to be the 15 horse Game Winner with, the number 8 and the number 5, or the number 6 and the number 10. Different combinations of the 8 or 9 horses that we talked about here today that I like and I think have a chance to win. I'm going to put Game Winner with those other horses, and I'm going to box them. So basically, any straight bet you do, you could do for at least $1. So you could say, like, I think Game Winner is going to win, Tacitus is going to come in second, and Win is going to come in third, and I want that trifecta straight for $1. If you box it, it costs $6, but you're basically getting every combination. So whether it's 15-8, 14, or 14-8, 15.
So it's almost like a round robin.
Exactly. You're covering any combination of those 3 horses being in first, second, and third.
Okay.
That's basically what the idea of a box is. So you're going to make 10 or 12 different boxes hoping that you hit. Now, I'm going to be honest. I mean, you look at even if like the chalk, and the chalk is probably going to be game winner, even if the chalk comes in first place, any one of these trifectas, if you get it right, is probably going to pay at a minimum $100.
Yeah.
And this is at a minimum, I'm saying. Like, worst case scenario, you're going to get at least your money back, probably a little more. Most likely, you're going to win a couple $100. And depending on how it works out, if like game winner is the only short priced horse, the only favorite that comes in, and you get two like 15 or 20 to 1 horses with them, you could theoretically be looking at a payout that has a comma in it, maybe even a 5-digit, a 5-figure one, depending on the odds of those other horses you put with them.
And how much bread you put down on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna have to try to figure out this round robin part of it a little bit more, because he's saying if I go to the window and I'm doing a dollar trifecta, that's really $6 because I'm betting 1, 2, 3.
A dollar trifecta box, because you're basically getting like again, if it's
putting the different, I'm betting $1 on 6 different finishes.
Yeah, 6 different combinations of those 3 horses. So it's basically 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, 1, and 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. So if any one of those 3 combinations comes in, that's what the dollar. The $6 is basically 6 $1 bets on the 6 different ways that those 3 combinations can be combined together.
I got it. I got what you're saying right there. Okay, so when will the content be up, and how can people purchase it?
Yeah, so I mean, I threw up last night. We threw up the breakdown of every horse. I basically went through the race. I watched all the race replays, and kind of gave my thoughts on which horses had a chance to win, which horses don't really have a chance to win. After we get off the air here, the thing I'm going to wind up writing up next is going to be my actual betting strategy of how I'm going to go about attacking the race, which is kind of what we're talking about here. But it'll be, a little more in detail than just kind of the little conversation we're having here. But I'm basically going to break everything down. Here's how I'm going to bet. Again, I'm going to use probably like $100 or $200 as the mythical number. So if you're only betting $10, well, you do 1/10 of that.
Yeah,
if you're betting $1,000, then you do 10 times what I thought, what the $100 is. But this way, it's like, it's a number that everybody can kind of get involved.
I understand it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's the way I'm going to break it down. You can find it. It's going to be up over at the betting site here. So you go to, the old Guru Elite site, or is the new betting site up yet? The new Elite betting site, is it up already?
I was hoping you would ask me that.
All right. to be honest with you, I'm not sure, because
like this, it wasn't last night.
Yeah, we have some beta access to it, so that's why I know I can get onto it, but I'm not sure if our subs can get onto it yet. But if you can't get onto that yet, the Fantasy Guru, the original Guru site that we had set up
on the homepage of the GuruElite.com.
Yeah, and it'll be, you can always follow Corey and I on Twitter as well. I'm at Benny R11. He's at the Fantasy Exec. You'll see it when it pops up, because when they pop it up, when they post it, they'll tag me in it, and I'll retweet it out. So anybody who's following me, you'll see when the article pops up. And again, remember, we're talking about the Derby, which is tomorrow night at like 6 or 7 o'clock. So you got plenty of time to go ahead and put this stuff together and do what you got to do. So don't be in a hurry. The Derby's not today. Today's the Oaks, which is a much less bet on race, but still a pretty good one if you're a horse racing fan and a handicapper.
So there you go, right there. The Kentucky Derby Elite Fantasy Sports. We got you covered. My main man, Benny, make sure you check that out. Play the ponies. Benny, you got a big piece of chicken?
Yeah, my big piece of chicken today is actually going out to Bob Baffert. You may have no idea who that is, but he's one of the best trainers in the world. The guy who trained the last 2 Triple Crown winners that happened in the last couple of years. He's got 3 horses in this race, and 2 of them, one of them being game winner. 2 of them are horses that I think have a really good chance to win. So I wouldn't doubt if we see Bob Baffert standing in the winner's circle again on Saturday. But either way, Bob Baffert is a guy who I've met before. Dude, honestly, this is the kind of guy, Corey, that if we were hanging out at the sportsbook drinking beers, he'd be right across the table with us cracking jokes and betting. So really good dude, Bob Baffert. Shout out to him.
Shout out to Bob Baffert. You get a big piece of chicken. I'm going to give mine to Joel Embiid. Been very critical of him, but he came through with a big-time game in front of the home crowd last night. So shout out to Joel Embiid. One more question on the ponies before we get out of here for the weekend, Benny.
Go ahead.
Have the odds been set yet?
So here's what happens. The odds, there's 2 ways to bet, right? I'll go quick. I don't want to get too deep into this, but if you're betting through a sports book, a lot of times they just have fixed odds. So the odds that they put out there is the odds that you get if you bet on them. When you're betting at the track, though, it's a pari-mutuel pool, and the pool doesn't close until race time. So,
Okay.
like, you could go bet on a horse right now that's 10-1, but if everybody else who bets after you bets on that horse too, his odds could drop all the way down to 5-1, 4-1, 3-1.
Will that affect your bet too?
Yes, it'll affect your bet too.
You don't get him at that locked in. You don't get him if he's at 10-1 now.
No, you don't get him locked in when you bet him. You're going to get paid out based on what he goes off at. But it could also work the other way. I mean, there's times where I bet on a horse at 10-1 and he went up to 20-1 before the race started. And then when the race starts and he wins, I get paid out at 20-1 instead of 10-1.
No doubt. All right, so there you go right there. All that information to be in the Kentucky Derby betting guide. Make sure you check us out for that. We are out. Enjoy the weekend, everybody.